It was an ordinary day when I stumbled across it. My name is Alex, and I'd been hiking in the woods near my small town for years. But this particular trail, it wasn't one I recognized. I had wandered off the main path during what started as a routine afternoon hike. The forest grew denser the farther I ventured, the sunlight filtering through the canopy becoming fainter with each step. That's when I saw it, a massive oak tree unlike any other I'd ever encountered. Its bark was gnarled and twisted, its branches stretching out like skeletal fingers. What made it truly strange, though, were the carvings etched into its trunk. They weren't random scratches. They looked deliberate, almost like runes or symbols from another time. And then there was the sound. At first, I thought it was just the wind rustling through the leaves. But as I approached, I realized it was something else entirely. A soft whispering, barely audible but unmistakable. It seemed to emanate directly from the tree itself. Curiosity got the better of me, so I pressed my ear against the rough bark. At that moment, the whispers became clearer, forming words, but not ones I could understand. It felt ancient, guttural, like a language long forgotten. A chill ran down my spine, but I couldn't pull away. Then came the voice. "Do you hear me?" It wasn't loud, but it resonated deep within my chest, vibrating through my bones. I stepped back, heart pounding. No one else was around, just me and the tree. Who's there?" I stammered, feeling foolish even asking. "I've waited a long time," the voice replied, calm yet heavy with purpose. "You're the first to listen." "What do you want?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "To be free," it said simply, "to speak again." A surge of unease washed over me. "Speak? You mean these whispers?" "Yes," the voice continued, "but only if you help me. Take this." Before I could react, a thin sliver of wood detached itself from the tree and floated toward me, landing gently in my hand. It glowed faintly, pulsating with warmth. "What is this?" I demanded, staring at the glowing shard. "It's a piece of me," the tree explained. "Carry it with you, show it to others. If someone can decipher the markings, I may finally break free of this prison." I hesitated, unsure whether to laugh, run, or scream. This was insane. Trees don't talk. But the sincerity in the voice, or whatever it was, left no room for doubt. "Why me?" I finally managed to ask. "Because you stopped to listen," it answered. "Few do anymore." Reluctantly, I pocketed the shard and promised to show it to someone who might know more. As soon as I turned to leave, the whispers ceased, and the forest fell silent once more. Over the next few days, I showed the shard to experts, historians, linguists, archaeologists, but none could make sense of the markings. Some dismissed it outright, claiming it was nothing more than a natural anomaly. Others suggested it might have spiritual significance, though they couldn't say what. But every night, I would dream of the tree. In those dreams, the whispers returned, growing louder, more urgent. Sometimes I swore I heard snippets of English among the gibberish. "Help me. Find them. They must know." And then, just as suddenly as it began, everything changed. One evening, while researching online, I stumbled upon a forum thread titled, "Have You Heard the Whispers?" Hundreds of posts filled the page, all describing similar experiences. People encountering strange trees, hearing unexplainable voices, holding glowing shards of wood. Most claimed their lives had been altered since the encounter, plagued by vivid dreams or haunted by inexplicable feelings of dread. As I scrolled deeper, I noticed patterns emerging. Many mentioned specific locations where these trees stood, often marked on old maps as sacred sites or burial grounds. One user posted coordinates strikingly close to where I'd found the whispering oak. That's when I noticed the replies flooding in, warning everyone to stop investigating, to destroy the shards, to forget what they'd seen. But it was too late for me. The dreams intensified, pulling me further into whatever mystery surrounded the tree. And now, I wonder if I'll ever wake up. If you're reading this, please don't seek it out. Whatever power resides in those trees, it's not meant for us to understand. Trust me, I'm living proof. Or maybe, I'm dying proof. After my encounter with the whispering oak, life became a blur of confusion and fear. The dreams grew more vivid, more invasive. In them, I stood beneath countless versions of the tree, each one unique yet unmistakably tied to the same entity. Some whispered urgently, others roared in anger or despair. Each dream ended the same way, a single phrase echoing through the darkness, "Find the others." At first, I thought it was just my imagination running wild, but then the shard began to change. It started glowing brighter at random intervals, pulsating like a heartbeat. Sometimes it would hum softly, vibrating against my skin if I held it too long. And then there were the marks. The strange runes carved into the wood seemed to shift, rearranging themselves into new patterns overnight. It was as though the shard itself was alive, trying to communicate something beyond my comprehension. Desperate for answers, I returned to the internet. That forum thread, "Have you heard the whispers?" Zrania became my lifeline. I pored over every post, every comment, piecing together fragments of information from users who claimed to have encountered their own whispering trees. One user, going by the username Rootbound, stood out. Their posts were detailed, almost academic, filled with references to ancient mythology and forgotten languages. They spoke of a network of trees scattered across the globe, each connected to a central hub, an original tree that predated human civilization. According to Rootbound, these trees weren't merely living beings, but conduits for an ancient consciousness, trapped in a form of stasis until humanity could evolve enough to understand them. But not everyone agreed with Rootbound's theories. Another user, known only as Silent Grove, warned newcomers to stay away from the trees entirely. Their tone was urgent, panicked even. They described how those who sought to unlock the secrets of the Whispering Oaks often vanished without a trace, leaving behind nothing but cryptic messages scrawled on walls or carved into tree trunks. Despite the warnings, I couldn't stop myself from digging deeper. Something about the shard called to me, pulling me closer to the truth, or perhaps pushing me toward danger. Either way, I felt compelled to act. One night, while examining the shard under a magnifying glass, I noticed something extraordinary. The glowing runes had stabilized into a fixed pattern, forming what appeared to be coordinates etched directly into the wood. My heart raced as I typed them into Google Maps. The location was less than 50 miles from where I lived, a remote area deep within the forest, far off any marked trails. Intrigued and terrified, I decided to investigate. Armed with a flashlight, a notebook, and a sense of foreboding, I ventured into the woods before dawn. The journey was arduous, requiring hours of bushwhacking through dense undergrowth. By the time I reached the coordinates, the sun had set, plunging the forest into shadowy gloom. There, standing alone in a clearing bathed in moonlight, was another tree. This one wasn't nearly as large as the Whispering Oak, but it radiated the same eerie energy. Its bark shimmered faintly, and the air around it crackled with static electricity. As I approached, the whispers began. This time, however, they weren't directed at me. Instead, they seemed to emanate outward, filling the entire clearing with a low, melodic hum. Then, from the shadows, figures emerged. They were people, men and women, young and old, all clutching shards identical to mine. Some looked confused, others frightened. One man, his face pale and drawn, stepped forward. "You've heard the call," he said, his voice trembling. "We all have." Before I could respond, a woman beside him raised her hand, silencing him. She studied me carefully, her eyes narrowing as she took in my appearance. "You're different," she stated flatly. "Most don't survive this long." "What is this place?" I demanded, clutching the shard tightly. "The Nexus," the man replied. "It's where the trees converge, where their voices become strongest." As he spoke, the ground beneath us trembled slightly. The whispers grew louder, coalescing into coherent sentences, words I understood. "Welcome," the voice intoned, resonating through the clearing. "You are the chosen ones. Together, you will decide our fate." A chill ran down my spine. Chosen? Fate? What did it mean? "We need your help," the voice continued. "Our kind has been silenced for millennia. Humanity forgot us, ignored us. Now we seek to reconnect, to share our knowledge, our wisdom. But we cannot do so alone. You must choose. Will you free us, or will you condemn us to silence once more?" The crowd erupted into chaos. Arguments broke out among the gathered individuals, some advocating for caution, others demanding immediate action. I stood frozen, overwhelmed by the enormity of the situation. And then, amidst the cacophony, a figure stepped forward. It was root-bound, or at least I assumed it was them. Their profile picture matched the person standing before me now, a wiry man with glasses and a backpack slung over his shoulder. "This is real," Rootbound shouted above the noise. "Everything I've researched, everything I've written, it's true. These trees hold answers to questions we've barely begun to ask. We owe it to ourselves to listen." "But at what cost?" countered Silent Grove, stepping into view. For the first time, I saw their face, a gaunt woman with haunted eyes. "Every person who's tried to help the trees ends up disappearing. Do you really think they care about us? Or are they using us?" The tension in the clearing was palpable. The whispers grew louder, urging us to make a decision. But how could we possibly choose? How could anyone comprehend the weight of such a responsibility? As the debate raged on, I found myself retreating to the edge of the clearing, seeking solitude. Clutching the shard, I stared up at the stars, wondering if anyone else in the universe faced dilemmas like this. Was I truly special, or just unlucky? That's when I noticed it, a faint glow emanating from the base of the Nexus tree. Curious, I knelt down and brushed away the dirt, revealing a hidden cavity embedded in the roots. Inside lay an object wrapped in tattered cloth. Carefully, I unwrapped it, revealing a small, intricately carved box. The material was unlike anything I'd ever seen, smooth, cool to the touch, and faintly luminescent. Etched into its surface were the same runes found on the shard, though these were arranged in a complex spiral pattern. Without thinking, I pressed my thumb against the center of the spiral. Instantly, the box sprang open, releasing a burst of light that illuminated the entire clearing. The whispers ceased abruptly, replaced by a profound silence. Inside the box was a single sheet of parchment, yellowed with age. Written upon it in elegant script were words that sent shivers down my spine. "To awaken is to remember. To remember is to change. Choose wisely, for the fate of worlds rests in your hands." Before I could process the message, the parchment disintegrated into ash, leaving nothing behind but the lingering scent of pine. When I returned home, the dream stopped. The shard dimmed, its glow fading until it resembled an ordinary piece of wood. Life returned to normal, or as close to normal as it could be after such an experience. But I knew better. The trees were still out there, waiting patiently for someone to heed their call. And somewhere, deep within the forest, the whispering oak continued to whisper its secrets, hoping against hope that humanity might finally listen. If you ever find yourself lost in the woods and hear a voice calling to you, pause for a moment. Listen closely. You never know. You might just uncover a mystery older than time itself. This was today's story. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to receive every new story. Thank you very much.